So hello and welcome to Conversations with Esther. Today, 4th October 2023, and happy Customer Service Week. As we begin, as it's always our custom, we will pray, and I will do that. Let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this session. Thank you, Lord, as we speak to the customer internally and externally, God. We pray that you give us wisdom and that, Lord, this conversation will change the way we do business and the way we relate with each other in the workplace and in different places. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So I will put up, I'll share this, and I believe you can see that. So as we always do, we will begin with an introduction to Conversations with Esther. For those that are new, I have seen new faces online. Allow me to just introduce you to Conversations with Esther. It's an impact-driven media platform that informs, educates, rebuilds mindsets to ignite ethical practices within organizations and the community. So we don't just stop at the organizations, we make sure that their ethical practices and your mindset are changed within the organization and the community. Now, Conversations with Esther provides a professional, safe space, speaking to matters affecting the workplace, social circles, and overall mental wellness. Guided by our three values: integrity, excellence, and impact, Conversations with Esther envisions a world transformed by candid conversations, respectable relationships, and the goodwill to make every effort count. Now, you can get us on our YouTube, Conversations with Esther Katiba. You can get me on LinkedIn as Esther Katiba, and you can get us on our Instagram as Conversations with Esther. So as I said, happy Customer Service Week from Conversations with Esther. And we say this from the depth of our hearts. We truly value you. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being there. Thank you for cheering us on. And thank you for contributing to Conversations with Esther. We appreciate you. We value you. Now, there's a QR code, and I'll give you time to scan that. We have an event upcoming on Saturday, this Saturday. It's finally here. This Saturday, we have an event branded Coping with Loss and Grief. Now, October 10th is the World Mental Health Day. However, we have chosen to celebrate the day, or to mark the day, on 7th, because 7th is a weekend, a Saturday. 10th is a public holiday. So on 7th of October, we meet at the Nairobi Children's Park. Nairobi Children's Park, Nyerere Road, that is right behind Serena Hotel, just in between the road that goes to Minet, just between Minet and Serena. If you can get that St. Andrews, as you go to Minet, the YMCA, Serena, that part, there's a traffic, Nairobi Children's Traffic Park, where they train children to ride the bikes, if you've been there. Now, we are inviting you as an employee, we're inviting your colleagues, we're inviting your family members, and we are allowing you to bring your children. When we are having conversations on wellness, we invite you and your family. Now, the beauty of it is that the Nairobi Children's Park has bicycles for children 12 years and below. So you have no excuse not to come. Come with your children. We will have a session for the children. We will have the games, and we will also have psychologists speak to your children. So that your children will cycle. If you have your bike as an adult, please come with you, as because the facility only provides for little children. And of course, they might be limited because of the numbers that we are expecting. So you can bring along your child's bike. You can also come with their skates. They are allowed to come and skate around there. It's safe. as we teach them and teach ourselves. I kept saying today that we will learn and unlearn the traffic rules. Now, Nairobi Children's Park will take you through the traffic rules. So we'll train our children on the traffic rules. The place is marked, the traffic rules are there. So as we do the counseling and having our dance, we have a DJ on site. We have quite a lot on site. We have HISA Africa for insurance. We have Chiromo that is giving us psychologists. We have IHRM, so if you're a HR professional in the room, you will get 1 CPD point for attending this session. We have Nestle and Nescafe that will keep us refreshed the whole day from morning to evening. You will get coffee for free and different tastes of coffee. We have JCVs that will be doing CVs for you, that they will be helping you also with your profile. They have a lot of job openings. So tell your friends that are looking for jobs to come. JCVs will be on site and we will be going through the available jobs and looking at your CVs as well. We have YMCA that has been our partner. We have Scholar Media that will be covering the story the whole day. We have a National Youth Caucus. We have read my service, and I know Akshi is in the room. So we will speak to Akshi on this one. We have Sounden who will be giving us the music, and we have Fathering Together and many more. We are expecting some insurance company as well to still come on board. So take time and I hope you've scanned the QR code for that so that it will give you the direction and everything. Please don't miss this event. It's absolutely free. You're not paying anything to even see a psychologist. You're not paying anything for your fun and cycling and everything. It's just a day of fun. So hope you scanned that. Now, I will begin with this. Richard Branson says, clients do not come first, employees come first. And I love this statement. Clients do not come first, employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of the clients. So this means we have both internal and external customers, and that's what we are talking about today. Clients do not come first. Your internal customer comes first, and that is your employee. Now, when you take care of the internal customer, they will take care of your external customer. So we will discuss that further. So today we have Akshisha, the Chief Experience Officer for Customer Tricks. And we have Rosbella, I call her Bella Abok, Customer Experience Expert. They will be speaking to us. And I want to go through this. The goal of Customer Service Week, and I looked at it from my end, as normalize rewarding your team for the good job they do. Normalize it. Let it not just look like it's a favor for you to reward your team. Normalize rewarding your team for the good job they do. As Branson has said, you take care of your employees, they take care of your customers. So normalize rewarding them before you can reward. And I've seen a lot, I've gone to banks actually today, I've seen a lot of banks rewarding their customers. And my question will be, have you rewarded your internal customer first? Because your employee is your internal customer. You make them happy, the external customer will be happy. Reward the external customer as well, but begin with your internal ones. Increase customer affinity, that is the rapport between you and the customer, and loyalty for your brand. Invest in activities and experiences that yield customer retention. Internally and externally, invest in activities that yield customer retention. Be reminded that customers, both internal and external, have choices of where and what to buy. Your employees have choices of between you and somebody else. So if they are not happy and they're internal customers, they have an option to leave. If your external customers are not happy, they also have an option to leave. So be reminded that customers have choices, whether internal or external customers, they have choices of where and what to buy. They say there's always a next door. So your customers will go to the next door. If you do not treat them well, including your employees, they'll go to the next door. So thank you. Remember to follow us on Conversations with Esther on YouTube, LinkedIn Esther Katiba, and Instagram Conversations with Esther. And as I stop the presentation, I will go straight to the team. Karibu sana Akshi, karibu sana Bella. You can just wave and say hello as we welcome Bella. Bella is an expert in this field, and we've had Bella before actually on this platform, and people kept saying we need Bella back. Now she's back. So I want Bella to talk to us about the internal customer, making the internal customer happy. So over to you, Bella. The floor is yours. And let's keep the questions and comments coming. But over to you, Bella.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Esther. I'm so excited to be back here on this platform. Hi, Akshay. I'm looking forward to your presentation and for the gel that we're going to have in today's conversation with Esther. Hello, the audience. How are you? I hope you're having a very good customer service week. It's a very exciting week for those of us in customer experience. Just like Esther has said, it is the 1 week in the year where we get to celebrate our external customers across multiple brands, but also it's the time to focus internally on our internal customers and celebrate them for the milestones we've achieved thus far. And I was just thinking this week when I saw something on social media and somebody said, this is the only 1 week where we romanticize customer service, whereas customer service and excellent celebration of customer service should be throughout the whole year. And I completely agree. I likened this to Valentine's Day. So there's just this one day in the year that is marked for celebrating our romantic relationships, yet we are supposed to be celebrating our relationships throughout the year. And why it is marked is just so that we can stop and acknowledge that time of the year, similarly to Customer Service Week. And this week is themed team service. And last year, it was also something along celebrating service. And as we take this moment just to acknowledge what we have received in terms of the brands we interact with as customers, I know a couple of us are also internal customers in our areas of work or where we are looking for employment, and the interactions that we're having with suppliers and other partners within the business. If you're self-employed, that also means you probably are dealing with other people whom you've hired or are part of your team. And if not, it's external stakeholders whom you engage from time to time. Now, Esther, I was just thinking, today has been a first for me in many things. It is the first time I have used an airline within Kenya. It's a smaller airline, but then I used that to travel outside of Kenya. So people might know it mostly for internal flights within Kenya, but this was a first time for me today. Another part of that first experience is this is a new suitcase that I'm traveling with for the very first time. I have not used this brand before. I get to the airport in good time for check-in, and they weigh my suitcase, and of course I'm looking the other side and I'm thinking I must be way over what was required, and truly I was, and I had to pay for the extra weight. And then we access the waiting lounge. It's a first again for me because I've only used this airline for local flights. And I noticed that there's a delay with the flights. It's a whole 1 hour delay. The location that I am flying to is a first for me as well, in a country within the East Africa region. I arrive and I discover that at that airport, I still need to do 1 hour of road time to my location, another fast. And then I'm told that this is the first time it's rained in a couple of months. And I had packed generally very light. So I get to the hotel and I'm checked in, which is a few minutes ago, Esther and Akshay and the audience. And guess what happened? The one thing that you would not wish to happen, the suitcase brand that I'm using for the very first time, that I had locked with a code that I use, in other situations, refuses to unlock. Mhm. And that is a few minutes to this engagement. Part of why I'm telling us this story is our customers will engage our brands for the very first time, and how we treat those customers is a reflection of how we work together within the business. I noticed a lot of team collaboration when I was at the airport. The check-in counter is very different from the counter where they look at your documentation and the wait lounge. So someone had to come identify me and escort me all the way to the other side. You could see that how they have collaborated and how they have engaged each other as part of different counters where the customer has to go was very seamless. You could tell that these are people who have bonded, they've understood each other, they can communicate in a way that the customer is going to have a seamless experience. And then when I get to the hotel, which is now this story around my suitcase, I get stuck. Guys. I traveled with one big suitcase. My hand luggage was a very small bag with my laptop. And then I said to myself, how will they sort me out? Because I am using the code that I know that I input, but my suitcase is not unlocking. And so I call the reception. And when I call in, I tell them what my dilemma is. And you can already tell from the person that has picked up the phone that, they get a lot of requests from customers, but this is the one request that they probably have not handled ever before. And my request is unique because I'm asking for someone to help me to unlock my suitcase. So the receptionist or the person that picked my call tells me, let me see who can come to your room and assist you. Please give me a few minutes. These are those days when you feel like 2 minutes is 2 hours. I needed to access my one suitcase and get items out and make sure I'm ready for today's session. So 2 minutes in, which I think that is what it was, I called back and I said, hey, please send someone to my room. We need to figure this thing out. I need to unlock my suitcase. And so now they start to ask me a few questions. I think they wanted to determine the nature of the lock and, whether or not, even if they send someone, we'll get a solution or not. And they sent someone eventually. And as we always do as customers, we still try to tell the company or the brand we're engaging what to do or how to do their job. So I'm there explaining, maybe you need to bend this part, or you need to pull this part. I need to have my suitcase open. I need items in it. He remained very calm. You could tell that he has received a briefing from his counterpart at the reception area. So he has already understood the nature of this guest from the previous interaction we had had, and maybe he has a briefing on my details when I was checking into the hotel. He remained very calm and professional. I noticed he was taking cues from me, and good part is that my suitcase is now open and he figured something out. And now, of course, I have to adjust based on that. But then he asked me, did you forget your code? And he didn't ask me in a judgmental way. He just, was trying to see if he can calm me down or whether we can get another solution. And I said to him, it's a code I use quite frequently. And so, no, I did not. It's a new suitcase. And so he empathized with me. But as I said again, I could tell that there is some teamwork going on within this hotel where you call into one part of the business and they coordinate with another part of the business to give the customer an excellent experience. And so to bring my point home, within the business work seamlessly, and they appreciate each other for the different roles and responsibilities that they hold in the business. And when these teams hold each other in high regard, with a respect and an honor for what it takes for each and every one of us to succeed, then everyone succeeds as part of the brand. And to the customer, each of them, each of the people that I have interacted with today was that brand, regardless of where their workstation was or what their role and responsibility was. The image that they gave me, the tone in which they spoke to me, for me was the brand. It was the name of the company. And so, because I was not able to pick any detachment, and I was able to tell that if this person behind one counter is serving me for a particular, for a particular role, then somebody else in another counter is doing the same. Somebody else is ushering me across the counters. They are all friendly. They are all branded and well dressed in the uniform that they're required to. You can see that they're taking cues from each other. As a customer, I am not inconvenienced in any way. To me, those are brands I can celebrate. And even when things go wrong, sometimes those things are in the control of the employees, and sometimes those things are not in the control of the employee. For example, my suitcase that could not unlock, it was completely in my control as a customer. And the team in the hotel had to figure out how to help me. And I'm glad, of course, we came to a solution, and I'm truly appreciative. And that's probably why I'm sharing the story here. We work to make sure that my role is celebrated and that I can celebrate your role because you're an expert in that. You've been trained in that, you're good in that. And I enable you to work very well. Then what the customer ends up experiencing is a seamless engagement. And so as I just continue to share on this, I think my call to action primarily to each and every one of us, depending on the role that you hold in your place of work, is that there is always something special that you can do for a colleague outside even of customer service week or Valentine's Day for that matter, that will make them feel special, that will make them feel important. This does not have to be dictated even by the company values, for example, or by policy, or as an issue of compliance. This has to do with a human connection and saying to my colleague, I know you're not a morning person, here is your coffee, or I'd like to collaborate with you on something. I want us to both win. I want to go out of my way to make my colleague feel special. I want to make a human connection with my colleague, because when they show up at their best, and when I show up at my best, and even when we are not having such a good day, we can still arrive somewhere in the middle of making their customers' experience a good experience. At this point of the conversation, Esther, I think I just want to bring out the people within the business that are most influential in creating those environments for our team members. I'm talking to our supervisors, I'm talking to our managers, I'm talking to our team leads, I'm talking to the C-suites, and I'm not sure about the hierarchy that exists in different organizations. I'm talking to the leaders of tribes, even if it's cross-functional teams. Those are the people that I'm talking to. And I'm saying to you today that if you craft and design personalized experiences for your team members within the organization, all the way from when they join the business, their day one, their week one, their month one. If you design it around convenience, if you design it around celebration, if you design it around empowerment, and you design it around cohesiveness and teams working together, then you're likely to build a culture that supports a good internal experience as well as a good external experience. Now, it can be interesting to navigate this in the workplace. We have different generations that are working there. We have different personalities that are in the same workplace. We have different skill sets and different roles in the workplace. And someone might say to me, Bella, I mean, what you're asking for is too much. Let's just go with a generic way of speaking to our employees and training them in such a way that they will understand, yes, the external customer is important. And to the people with that thought process, I'd like to tell you, it's a no. We're in the day and age where the war for talent is real. The reasons why people are staying at their jobs or choosing to leave, sometimes even without another source of employment, is how you make them feel. And then if you're able to connect to how they feel, and in such a way that they feel a belonging, they feel they have skin in the game, they feel that their contribution in terms of ideas, their contribution in terms of the quality of work that they give every day is celebrated, then these people are likely to stay. And the ones that are coming into the business are also picking on these cues to just make sure that it's a continuum. Businesses right now are incurring quite the cost when it comes to retention of talent and when it comes to acquisition of talent as well. And I'm posing this challenge to say, what then does it take to make sure that our employees, from the time they join the business to how they get to know and understand what we do within the business, to interaction between each other, is seamless, all the way to exit as well. For whatever reason, when an employee is leaving, part of the reason they might be leaving is they have another opportunity, whether it's self-employment or they're going into another employment opportunity. It could be, family reasons. It could be a number of reasons why they're leaving. And when they do, what is their word of mouth about your organization? Will they say, a year or two to come, I worked at a certain organization and I loved that they appreciated me and they appreciated my team, and that we worked together cohesively to make sure that the external customer receives the best experience. And I know a couple of us on the call may have had, not so good experiences when exiting businesses where we have worked. And sometimes that part of the journey as an internal team member is, is different, because in some organizations you might be treated as persona non grata from the moment you hand in your resignation. Whereas in others, when they throw for you a farewell party and when they're saying goodbye, people are literally in tears because they do not want you to leave. You connected with them at a humane level, and they can already feel the loss of having somebody like you not within the business. And so as I'm speaking towards giving the external customer a seamless experience, Esther, like you've rightfully put it, take care of your employees and they will take care of the customer. They will give what they have. And what they have is what the organization intentionally designs for them, to empower them, to celebrate them all year round. Esther?
Wow. I was just beginning to listen, like, are you sure you're done? Yeah. I was enjoying the
I'll take a
conversation.
question or two.
Yeah, we could send a question. Anyone with a question for her before we move to Akshi will do external customers. Bella was doing internal customers. Anyone with a question as we usher in Akshi? Maybe you can feel free to post it. Akshi, the floor is yours. Speak to the external customer. The experience of the employee affects the customer. Sometimes we project our pains to the customer. You know, if the employee is unhappy, we just somehow people make sure that the customer receives on the other end. And it affects the numbers, it affects the brand, it affects the entire business. So speak to us. Karibu sana Akshi. Akshi is Akshi is our partner. I know most of you saw that. We signed off a partnership. He will speak about that later on. Karibu sana Akshi.
Cool. Hi, everyone, and thanks. Great to be here. Bella, good to see you again in person, despite the odious journey you've had. But by the way, I really loved your story, and the way you made it connect. And you rightfully said that without the internal experience, there is no external experience or customer experience. So maybe before I kick off, I want to throw a question to the audience, right? So given the work that you do, the companies that you're at, even if you're self-employed, just drop in the chat, who do you think is your boss? And I'll just read out answers as they come through in the chat. So very simple. Who is your boss? If anybody wants to speak, feel free. Great, seeing the responses coming in, customer, clients, my customer. And absolutely, I mean, the sole purpose is why business exists is their customers. So without your customer, you're not going to have a business, right? And it becomes increasingly important to have the purpose of your company built around the customer, right? And I just want to give an example of another business that I was involved with, and this will kind of play with some of the things that Bella was talking about. So it was a food business called Fresh Urban Kitchen, and the purpose of this business was to ensure that customers get a wholesome, healthy meal at a fair value price, right? So that was our purpose. Now, in order to deliver on that purpose, we needed to have multiple teams, all the way from leadership, management, and the guys on the ground working towards that purpose, right? So think about it, when a customer or a potential customer walks into your space, they're going to be greeted by whether it's a host or a waiter or a waitress. And that's kind of like the first impression that's going to make or break the customer. Taken to the table, given the menu, greeted, asked about how the day was. Again, it's building on the experience that the customer is having with your brand. Now, from that client-facing team, let's call that, the experience of the journey will now be determined by the way the back office or the kitchen team is going to be performing, right? So the kitchen team has to do a great job, invoke the customer senses, and then again, the rugby ball is passed back to the front office or your waiter, waitresses to engage with the customer again, right? And even if the food is being delivered, the riders, boda guys who deliver the food to the customer become an integral cog in terms of what the experience that customer is eventually going to have, and therefore what opinion they're going to form of your brand, right? So everyone has to work together. They've got to work well. They've got to feel appreciated by the company internally for them to do a great job. And the sum of all these moving parts is eventually what the customer is going to perceive of the brand. Now, if you do this well, the customer is going to build some kind of loyalty or advocacy to you. And essentially what that will mean is that they will recommend your brand to others. So what companies want to do with the external customers is to try to get as many of their customers recommending their brand positively to others, whether it's word of mouth. And, you know, in this day and age with social media, it becomes really easy. And that can work both ways, really easy in terms of either, you know, promoting your brand, or if you're not doing a great job, you're pissing off the customer, it's going to destroy your brand, right? So customer experience intricately linked to the employee experience and the way different teams work together and are pulling together in the same direction under that single purpose of why does our business exist? What are we doing for our customers? Now, if your customers are going to be talking positively or negatively about your brand, you also want to try to preempt that, right? And your customer will either continuously be giving you feedback. Like, for example, let's go back to our food business, right? If the customer maybe is not happy with what's on the menu, what's on the special, so they're going to start voicing that, right? And then your teams need to start reacting to that feedback. And part of this is either you are trying to limit a painful moment that a customer might have, or as part of active listening, you might be looking to create an experience that is going to wow the customer, right? So, give me 1 second. So part of that is active listening. So for example, common thing that most dining businesses have is if they overhear that the customers are celebrating something special, could be anniversary, could be birthday, it could be once a year Valentine date, they will try to do something special to create that wow moment. And then again, what that does is it creates a flood of social media messages. For example, somebody will post, this restaurant was so amazing, they gave me a cake on my birthday, on Instagram, on TikTok, and you know, the word just spreads, right? So looking after your customers is key. And the reason why this is really important is, you know, in today's day and age, the only way your business can really differentiate itself from your peers, your competitors, is the way that you make your customers feel about the brand, right? How do they feel about doing business with you? And that's what we talk about, customer experience, because at the end of the day, businesses are, you can call them commoditized. You know, if you go to a bank, they'll have similar products and services as any other bank, but the way they make you feel, or the way they make it, you know, easy for you, transparent with you, as Bella said, how do they personalize the business for you? It's what's going to make or break that emotional connection that customers have with your brand. And ultimately, that's what's going to help you to either have, you know, loyal, happy customers who help you grow your business, and you want to try to limit or mitigate the damage from any ow or painful moments that the customers might have. I see there's a comment here from Elfas. Customer is king and the king never bargains. Elfas, I don't know if you want to speak a bit about your phrase. Okay, maybe we'll come back. At this point, maybe I'll just pause, and I want to ask the audience if there's any questions around the external customer or even the internal customer for Bella. Maybe we can take a few before we carry on.
And I think actually that's what Alphas is asking. Justify the phrase, customer is king and king never bargains. Bella, you want to take that?
Wow, that is super interesting. This definition about kings and queens in customer experience. The other day I heard that customer feedback is king. and how we action the feedback is queen, and data is prince or princess for that matter. So maybe if I was to try and explain this one for today, is a customer, when they are considered to be the king of the business, they need to get what they want, how they want it, be treated like the royalty that they are. A king of any nature or any kingdom is somebody who is held in very high regard. When you say, for example, the king of, I'm trying to use an African nation. I don't know if we have a king in one of the African nations, but the king addresses people in a certain way. The king is addressed in a certain way that is super special. They are royal. They dress how they dress. They have unlimited resources in their hands. And so if we handle our customers as king, it means we honor them, we respect them, we give them what they need, we give them at the price that they demand. The quality of the service or the product needs to be exceptional. And if the customer tells us anything about their experience, that we honor what they have told us and we action it. That is what I think that statement might mean.
Thank you. Thank you. I think actually you want to continue, then we can we'll come to the questions much later. I know we have 9 minutes to time.
Yeah, sure. But maybe on that note, because I think Elfas has just posted a secondary comment on how to handle a customer with a return product, claiming that it was not the intended product. Because I just want to echo some of the things that Bella has said. So whilst we do treat the customer as king, there also has to be some kind of fine line in the sense that the customer isn't necessarily always the king or isn't necessarily always right? And this is kind of where you ensuring that you look after your internal teams and your internal employees will come in. So for example, going back to the food business, you know, if we did have interactions with rude, unreasonable staff, unreasonable customers, but first and foremost, it is our duty to protect employees from any kind of harassment. And equally, respectfully and politely, we do have to inform the customer that they are in the wrong. So Elfas, in your case, without fully understanding the scenario behind this question, if the customer was in the wrong, they can be advised accordingly, politely, respectfully. But again, there also needs to be consideration in terms of if you have any policies like return policies, are they really fair to the customer? So goods one sold can be returned. Personally, I really hate those kind of policies because they're usually unfair to customers. So that there has to be a balance, some of these things. And Elfas, I don't know if that helps. Okay, let me just share my screen for a second. So going back to the external customer, one of the things that we want to make sure is that we are continuously collecting data or collecting feedback from them when they have important interactions with your brand. And this is where our platform like Rate My Service comes in, because what it does is it allows brands to ensure that they're continuously growing their happy batch of customers, because that is what helps them to drive revenue growth. So you're looking at moments where you can measure customer experience, you can measure your leadership and employee experience, and you're also looking at things like how do we look at the way customers are talking to about our brand socially. Right? So from our platform, you can easily send out surveys. You can automate them so that as soon as a customer does something with your brand, they can get an SMS or a WhatsApp message asking to leave feedback. At the same time, for disgruntled or unhappy customers, you want to try to quickly resolve any kind of issues, or at least let the customers know, sorry, we recognize that there is a problem, we are working on it. And behind this, there's an insights engine. So Bella talked about data. So data is really only powerful when you understand what does that data mean and what do we do with it, right? In the case of customer or employee experience feedback, if your employees or customers are unhappy, you know, what's the underlying cause behind that? What are some of the things we need to change in our business? Because if we don't, it causes churn. Employees will go look for another employer, customers will knock on another door. And worst case, your brand will have negative reputation on social media. So just some of the clients that we work with, some of the locations that we do. And now, given that Esther is a very firm believer of how feedback can really impact, if you don't mind, there is that QR code in the bottom left. If you just scan that, we'll give you a few minutes. It'll open up a survey. It'll also give you a feel for the platform, but it'll also give useful feedback to Esther, Bella, and myself on how we can make these sessions more interesting for you going forward. So we'll just give you a few minutes to scan the code. What I'll also do is I'll drop the link to the survey in the chat. So if you've managed to open it, it'll bring you a survey that's something like this. So Esther, I think that's it from my side. I don't know if there's any questions or comments from anyone, or Esther, from yourself.
Great. I want to speak to, I don't know that he's still here. Yeah, Elphas is still here. Now, Elphas, I worked for retail, and we discovered, of course, there's that statement that everyone wants to shield themselves with and put on the receipt. But I'm imagining people that that buy clothes and you don't fit. That, and I actually had a lady, I think, was it in somewhere, a lady making noise at a shop person on phone and saying, I'm supposed to return this, it's not fitting me, it's not what you told me. And the person on the other end, I could tell, was actually saying, we are not going to take it, just know where to take it. And the lady finished with saying, you've just lost a customer. There was a better way to handle that. So I'm just saying, as Akshi has said, have a clear return policy, you know, on goods, and make sure that the return policy is accessible to the customer before, not after, before purchasing and before engaging with you. It's visible and they also understand it. Don't be in a hurry. You can take the customer through the return policy, or make sure it's somewhere placed in either at the till, so that the customer, by the time they buy and pick a product, they are aware of what's happening. Number two, just make sure that you reconfirm the product. That's why you will go to some places and they will reconfirm almost 3 times. This is this product. You've chosen this grams, or you've chosen this whatever mLs. This product is for the age of this and this, or you said this is for your daughter who is 18 years, and this and this, and this is her skin type, and this and this. So that helps you and helps the customer confirm really whether that's what they need. Now, that is before you release it. And I think that could help reduce. You might not completely get rid of that, but it reduces the return and the anger between the customer. Yeah, So that will help you. Wow. He says, wow, thank you so much. I can now be able to handle both my customer and my boss. Perfect, perfect. And I think it's customers, I am a customer and we can be fussy, you know. I can come by something and then after a few minutes I've left, I just decide that's not what I wanted. So even if you've not opened now, your return policy should be very clear. If it's been opened, it's taken this time, or it's been tampered with, there's a lot that you need to make clear. Just make sure that that's visible and it's not something hidden. Any other question? And I know it's 1 minute to time. Any other question or anyone that wants to make a comment? You can unmute and just make a comment. Hi, Wamboy. When is the next meeting? Thank you, Elfas. Every Wednesday, 7 p.m. we have the fireside chats. Every Wednesday. So if you go to my LinkedIn, you'll always find it. Just follow me on LinkedIn, Esther Katiba. You'll always find that. For those that are in Facebook, we must be having that generation here. I will always post what's coming up with the link, my status as well. Yes, you'll always get what's coming up next. Next week, actually, we are talking about workplace safety. We have the president of the Workplace Safety Association of Kenya coming to talk to us, because that also affects your safety in the workplace. It affects your mental health and wellness. It affects the productivity, affects your family, affects everything around you. So Bella, your final remarks, and then maybe Akshay, your final remarks.
Thank you so much, Esther. It's been such an interesting conversation. Thank you, Akshay. We can always count on you and Custometrics to bring in the technology that supports excellent customer experience. And for the audience, thank you also for granting us the time and for engaging us. I am available. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is Rosebella Abok therein. Send me a message, I will respond. My final words, Esther, I'll go with Maya Angelou's quote that says, people will forget what you said. People will even forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. Those would be my closing words.
Wow. Wow. Akshay, final remarks.
Well, thanks, Esther. Thanks, Bella, and thanks everyone for a great session. I think I'm going to try to do something similar to Bella. So apologies for stealing a leaf from your book. There's this quote that says, if you want to travel fast, do it alone. If you want to go far, travel together. So take customer experience in the same vein. You really need to work as a cohesive team to be able to deliver that great, exceptional experience that Bella was talking about.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Hope to see you on Saturday. Bella, I told you you need to take your flight back. You can't afford to miss the coping with loss and grief event on Saturday at the Nairobi Children's Park. It is open for you and your family, including the children. We want to normalize conversations around wellness. And I said today, as I was posting the same, that investing in self-care is the best investment you can do, because you will not be healthy to take care of customers if you don't invest in yourself. So see you on Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Asanteni sana. Thanks, Bella. Thanks, Akshi. Thanks, everyone. Asanteni sana and have a good evening.
Thanks, everyone. Good evening.